Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer. We're taking a look at another online battle replay. I'll be playing as the Greenskins, and we'll be facing off against Archaon and the Forces of Chaos. My forces are led by Grimgor Ironhide, the Black Orc himself. We do have a core of Black Orcs here, as well as the Warlord's Boys, forming a second line. In the front, we've got Savage Orcs in the middle, and Savage Orc Biggins, with one on each flank, as well as two Orc Boar Boy Biggins, and a Night Goblin Shaman with Sneaky Stealin' and Itchy Nuisance. As well, I've also got the Rusty Errors and the Morgulb's Mangy Marauders. For my opponent's forces, he has brought a fairly small elite army. He's got this one unit of Chaos Marauders here as the sole cheap option, one unit of Chosen with great weapons, so definitely going expensive and elite. We also have the Weird Spawn, one unit of Chosen with Halberds, very interesting choice. Chaos Warriors with great weapons backed up by Aspiring Champions, and another Chaos Warriors with great weapons. As well, he does have Archaon the Everchosen with the Swords of Chaos in support, so Archaon with his bodyguard, and let's take a look here and see if we can get a handle on what that does for Archaon. So he does have a baseline physical resistance of, I believe, 20%. Or 10%? I can't quite remember. I believe the buff is 26%. Let's see here. 36%. So he must have a 10% physical resistance baseline, plus the 36%, I believe, should bring him up to about 46. Yep, that makes sense. 15% physical resistance as well. He does also have the Crown of Domination for some immunity to Psychology, Fireball, Cascading Fire Cloak, as well as the Slayer of Kings for some extra weapon damage. So very good stuff. Let's see, he does also have this other unit of Chaos Knights with Lances, which is going to be pulling around to the other flank. And yeah, we'll get started here. Just doing a bit of skirmishing here, trying to get some armor-piercing missiles on these Chosen with great weapons. They are a very high-value target, so any damage I can get with them on this relatively cheap Morgulb's Mangy Marauders is going to be a good sign for me. My opponent's forces here are just advancing across the field. I'm content to wait for him since I do have the skirmish advantage. I want to take advantage of that time. Over here, he is pulling around Archaon and the Swords of Chaos to this flank, probably hoping to get a direct charge into these Savage Orc Biggins. Probably wouldn't be the best. They don't have charge defense, and they will take quite a bit of damage from the charge, but they do have heavy anti-large weapon strength and physical resistance, which Archaon has magic attacks. The Swords of Chaos do not. So Archaon here getting a little bit separated. Unfortunately, I didn't have the mobility to really capitalize on that at the time. However, we are getting some nice shots in, continuing to whittle away at these Chosen with great weapons. Haven't killed any unit models yet, but it does some decent HP damage. And like I said, any damage I can get with these relatively cheap, they are 600, so they're not super cheap. They are relatively cheap, though, when compared to the 1,500 of the Chosen with great weapons. So my opponent's forces are just approaching. We are content to let them approach, and just now getting a counter charge here. These Savage Orcs will tear, especially the Savage Orc Biggins, will tear these Marauders to tiny, tiny pieces. So that's definitely not going to be favorable for them. You can see they're already pretty much gone at this point. They did trade a bit of damage back in return, but the Black Orcs here are going to be facing up against Chosen with great weapons, one of the few units that can stand toe-to-toe with them. With the support of the Savage Orcs, however, these Chosen with great weapons are going down in a big hurry. Over here in the mainline fight, if you can call it a mainline fight, Archaon's actually just charged in head first with his Swords of Chaos. Grimgor is now here dropping some buffs, trying to get in and do some damage on the big bad himself. Just supporting as well. The Warlord's Boys are in here sundering armor, and definitely only down to 90 armor, but still anything you can get is going to be good in that situation. These Chaos Knights with Lances around the flank going to be doing a great rear charge here, helping to support these Chosen with great weapons, which were otherwise taking quite a bit of damage. You can see these Savage Orc Biggins already routed off those Marauders. Over here, these Savage Orcs are taking quite the beating from the Weird Spawn. They're actually a pretty decent unit against Savage Orcs, and they're sundering the armor of these Black Orcs as well, so they're able to trade slightly more effectively there. Over here, Archaon's continuing to goon around, meeting up with these other knights here and just completely dominating these Savage Orcs. These Black Orcs are also wavering. They were winning a short time ago, but now they're wavering and actually routing off. These Savage Orc Biggins actually killed all of those Marauders because I let them overchase a bit. So now we're going to pull them back. Those Savages completely shattered. The Black Orcs did break. However, they will be returning shortly. The Night Goblin Shaman's in a bit of a precarious situation here with the Rusty Airs, so I'm going to try and pull them away and get my Orc Boar Boy Biggins to come around and try and help support. But these guys don't really have the combat stats to stand toe-to-toe with the Swords of Chaos. I mean, really, they're only 20 attack and 18 defense, so they're fairly poor stats, even though they do have great weapon strength with anti-large armor piercing. 21 armor piercing with 12 anti-large is pretty considerable. They just don't have the stats. They will do some damage here, but they are going to get taken out as well. So Grimgor's in here trying to support, also doing some great armor piercing damage, and I was just trying to stick him on Archaon just to be able to, you know, just take him out as quickly as possible, but due to his low mass and low mobility, he's not able to really get in there. He is now getting some nice dueling action with Archaon. We can kind of watch that close up. It's probably a little hard to slash at Archaon with all that fire in your face, but he's doing his best, and they're getting a nice duel. Archaon's taking a bit of damage, but he's trading fairly well with Grimgor, so although Archaon doesn't have great armor piercing, it appears he does trade okay in this kind of situation. Giving himself a cascading fire cloak there, so that'll help with the armor piercing and the melee defense, putting him up to 96 melee defense. That's pretty serious, so he won't be taking a lot of damage there. Over here, the Rusty Airs have repositioned up here. They're going to get charged, however, by these Chaos Knights with lances and sort of pancaked. It was uphill, so it wasn't the best charge, but they are going to take a ton of damage because of their low armor, and they probably will rout off there. The Black Orcs have rallied, though. They're coming back in to help clean up the flank. These Mage Marauders have still not been accounted for, and finishing off their Chosen with great weapons. Only have 7 unit models now, and we're starting to wrap up the infantry fight fairly well in my favor. However, despite my opponent bringing a fairly small elite army, which generally I'm not a big fan of, he is able to take care of Grimgor, which is a bit unfortunate for me. So I'm going to have to pull in some of these infantry to try and screen Grimgor and spring him loose from this really bad situation here. So we're going to path all of these infantry after the Swords of Chaos, and the Black Orcs are going to get in here, start chopping down these nasty knights. We'll get a hold of this good look of this beautiful bloody combat. Very, very gorgeous. I'm loving the new Regiments of Renown from Chaos, and Greenskins are still one of my favorite factions. Always have been. Still very strong. I haven't seen them quite as much in ladder. I think people are more excited about the new Regiments of Renown for Beastmen and Wood Elves and, you know, Bretonia and Chaos. But yeah, the Orcs are still a force to be reckoned with, and you will still see me play them. They are one of my favorites. So we are now routing off the Swords of Chaos. Only Archaon remains. He still has fairly good leadership, about 50% HP, but against all of this Orc infantry, he's really not going to have a good time. And at this point, the balance of power is finally starting to tilt in my favor. Grimgor is going to get in here to try and support, but he is going to have to waddle his way through all these other Black Orcs and Savage Orcs to wait his turn. The Orc Boar Boy Biggins coming in, charging, but not getting a ton of damage done. Now we're going to send them after this lone Sword of Chaos, just to make sure he doesn't come back from routing as the infantry continue to mop up this fight. Grimgor dropping some buffs here, but pulling a little far away, but still. Archaon has taken quite a bit of damage, and at this point is routed off, so well played to my opponent. A very fun game. Fun to see the new Chaos Regiments of Renown in action, and interesting to see someone take a really small elite army of like Chosen and other things. It almost worked out. He played it fairly effectively. I'm generally not a fan of really small armies like this, but my opponent almost made it work. And I think the real MVP here for my opponent was these Chaos Knights with Lances. 127 kills and 2 XP chevrons. Pretty serious. Pretty dang serious. So they did great. The Swords of Chaos also did very well, 78 kills. 69 kills on the Weird Spawns, pretty good. Only 47 on these Chosen with Halberds. This is the one unit I probably would have traded out. The Chosen with Halberds generally are not great, just because they're so expensive. The Chosen with Great Weapons ended up not being cost effective as well. Again, they're just so expensive. I mean, they are serious units. They have a lot of killing power, but they're so expensive. It's really hard to make them cost effective. These Chaos Warriors were pretty good. The Aspiring Champions didn't do a whole lot. They got beat down pretty quickly. Same with the Marauders, but Archaon getting 40 kills himself. The chevrons on these Savage Orcs were given out at the beginning of the battle. However, these two Biggins, Savage Orc Biggins, did not have those chevrons, so they got those the old-fashioned way, got quite a few kills. This is the one that cleaned the clock of those Marauders. This one, I believe, got quite a few kills on Cavalry and, you know, Chaos Warriors and other fairly high-value units. This Black Orc only got 49 kills, but still got a chevron, so those are 49 very high-value kills. The Orc Boar Biggins didn't do a lot. The Morgrim's Mangy Marauders were very useful in this matchup, didn't take any damage at all. One of my favorite units, as you guys know. The Rusty Heirs didn't get any kills in and of themselves, but did a good job of helping sunder my opponent's armor, and, you know, he had to account for them, which forced him to pull away from some engagements where he otherwise might have wanted to stay in. The Warlord's Boy is not doing a whole lot either. Again, the armor sundering is really the important part here. The kills are not necessarily as important. Grimgor getting beat up a little bit by Archaon, but managing to survive and hold the day. And the Night Goblin Shaman, again, he's just there for buffs. So very well played to my opponent. Really, really enjoyed that battle. Hope you guys enjoyed watching it. If you're liking the content, like the video and subscribe. Helps the channel grow. And thank you guys very much for watching. We'll see you next time.